Chaim Bloom joins us right now on the Harbor One Hotline. Hey, Chaim.
Good morning, everybody.
How we doing? How you doing?
I'm good. I just got back off the road and happy for the boys to get an off day today. It's been a while.
Speaking of being on the road, I wanted to ask you about Tuesday night and some Baltimore fans who apparently spit on and or sprayed beer on players. Is that something that you guys are addressing with the league?
Yeah, look, obviously that should never happen. And I think, it's interesting because as I know you guys saw, Richard Dwyer actually brought it to our attention.
Yeah.
And he told us what I think he told the media, which is that, this guy played there for a while. He said, these aren't the fans I know, but obviously, these things can happen anywhere. The league is aware. We made the Orioles aware. And look, there's nothing wrong, in my view, with fans creating a hostile environment for the opposition, but there are lines you can't cross. A few bad apples cross one. The Orioles did do a good job of addressing it, and we made sure they knew we felt it was unacceptable, just to make sure something like that doesn't happen again.
Hi. It seems like, maybe one of the common themes for this season is when you do get good starting pitching now, it almost seems like you can't get runs going in some of the losses that you've had. What is it about that? It's like you get one, but you can't get the other. What have you noticed that maybe might be leading to some of those issues?
Well, those are the ups and downs of the season. Look, our offense has been incredible. It's a bunch of grinders that it doesn't really matter the situation. We just keep battling and make you earn 27 outs. Now, we're not going to, obviously on the whole, we scored a ton of runs. It's baseball. You're not going to do that every single day. You hope that it aligns, and when you don't score, it aligns with, days when you get great pitching. Sometimes that'll happen, sometimes it won't. But, these guys are never out of a game. Look, in a lot of, the losses we've had, we still just keep coming at you. Even, yesterday, facing one of the probably most intimidating relievers in the game. We get the first two guys on with a couple of really good at-bats. Then the guy made some really, really good pitches to get out of it. But it would have been really easy to mail it in right there and just hit the road, look ahead to the off day, and these guys were still grinding. So, that's going to happen over time. You're not always going to, score 5-6 runs every day, but we've done that more often than not.
I asked the question when you're not on with us, so I better ask it when you are. Was it a mistake on your part going into the season with the expectation that Chris Sale was this team's ace?
I don't think we expected anything of Chris, but to just be himself. I think we were pretty clear on that. Obviously, the upside, we know the upside is there. He actually showed that to us a couple starts ago. And obviously, having him not having pitched regularly in 3 years, there's going to be some ups and downs. So we were fully prepared for that. I think if you had told me that Chris's stuff would be where it is, that the velocity would be there, that he would be healthy and raring to go on opening day and taking the ball every 5-6 days, we'd have been pumped. Obviously, there's some things to work out. He has been and will be the first to tell you that. But we just want him to be himself. And everything this guy has shown us over time, and also the stuff that's in place this year, he's going to figure it out. And again, he showed that to us against Minnesota. Then it wasn't there this last time against Baltimore. But, he showed us why he stayed with a guy like that.
Well, then, did you, heading into this season, did you have an expectation when it came to who would be the ace?
We have a lot of really interesting, talented pitchers. The starting pitching hasn't been consistent to this point, but I think everybody in that rotation, including, someone like Bello, who we sent out for a little while, they've all shown it. They've shown it in flashes. We need to get that more consistently, but there's a lot of guys that can rise to the occasion. I think, really, this has been a topic since I got here about the history of the organization and developing starting pitching. You have to be willing to ride the ups and downs of the young starting pitchers to realize that upside. They have all shown us that upside, including some guys that I'm not sure people would have expected that from at the beginning of the year. I think if you had asked a lot of people coming out of last year in spring training, Would Tanner be a guy that you could count on to this point to give you 5, 6, 7 innings every time out, attack the strike zone? I don't know that people would have expected that, especially coming out of spring training, and he's done exactly that. So we need these guys to keep taking steps forward. Some of them have done that so far. It's been inconsistent, but we just need to get them to that top end more frequently.
I guess that's the difference in the way this Red Sox team is built now versus a couple years ago, in that it's a wait-and-see approach. It's not we're expecting people to be ready day one to be shortstop or did day one be our third starter. Is that because of a new way in which the team is being constructed, or is this just this roster this year?
I don't see this as a wait-and-see team in a way that's different from the way you go through any baseball season. There obviously, any good team is going to be looking for young players to step in and contribute, and going to be riding the wave with those young players. I think that's been true of every good Boston team. It's true of good teams around the league. The fact of the matter is this is a marathon. So to say wait and see, you're competing from day one. You're trying to win games from day one. But the reality of the baseball season is that if things don't click on day 1, 2, or 3 and you panic and move on, you're going to hurt yourself. That's true of every team around the league. So I don't see it as that, or to the extent that it is that. I just see it as this is the game of baseball. It's a long season, and if you ever want to get contributions out of young players, look at probably a lot of the guys you're thinking of, whatever you're referring to a couple of years ago. Those guys didn't all come up here and perform at an elite level from day one. This is part of the game, and if you have to be willing to ride the roller coaster in any baseball season.
Well, I guess with the 2018 years ago, but you had Porcello, Price, Sale, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Nathan Eovaldi. Not all of them pitched all year, but there wasn't the question. There was always questions with the fifth starter, or maybe middle relief, or maybe platoon. But it just feels like, from my perspective, obviously I don't know all the information, but it feels like we had opening day Kluber, Sale, hope for something with, a returning Garrett Whitlock. It's not a rotation that felt solidified in any way.
I don't really know how to address that other than to say that, look, I think having a lot of interesting young starting pitching candidates is something that every team wants. And like I said, it's something that has been kind of a long-standing issue here, that we didn't have those guys. Now we have them. They're not all going to go out and perform from day one, but you're never going to realize that upside. You're never going to have that unless you are willing to give those guys chances. Look, there have been years where you could have lined it up and said, hey, man, we've got 5 guys, book it. We can count on these guys. It doesn't always play out that way. That's the game of baseball. Obviously, you cited a year where it all clicked, but that same group or groups like that, of whom there were expectations, veterans, it didn't always click. So to me, having a lot of exciting young pitching is a really good thing. And I'm excited to see what these guys do the rest of the way.
Well, Chaim, you bring up the excitement around Bello in particular, and sticking with Tanner Houck and the rotation over him, and his outing yesterday was up and down. Where does that confidence in Tanner come from for you guys?
Look, they're all going to contribute. I think, Alex is pretty clear about that when we made that move. Obviously, there's going to be opportunity for all these guys. We know how the season goes. We know what it looks like. We unfortunately got to see that last July where, if you whittle your rotation down to 5 and then those guys go down, as inevitably happens during the course of the season with young pitchers and veterans alike, maybe more so with veterans, and you don't have, more than 5, it ends up hurting you. So Brian's part of this. He's going to contribute. I have no doubt about that.
Chaim, baseball is such a mental game, and you talk about Sale having his stuff. His velo's good. I learned that from my boy out there in Framingham, Lou. But when you think of where Chris Sale is at mentally, you've seen players like, whether it be Chuck Knobloch or Dontrell Willis, get so caught in their own mind. And if his stuff is there, how much of this maybe could be attributed to the mental fact of maybe the pressure Sale's putting on himself, whether it's contract and other things? How do you determine that?
Yeah, there's an art to it. Obviously, it's something that you try to figure out by being up close to the player and being in touch with the player. In Chris's case, you guys know the type of competitor he is, how much he cares. He is one of the most straightforward, accountable players I've been around. And I think that shows publicly too. Look, this guy obviously isn't as sharp as he wants to be. And he's going to be hard on himself when that's the case because he expects great things of himself. But he's also shown it to us as recently as last week. So he's grinding. He's not going to stop grinding. This guy's very, very determined. He will get there. I don't look at this as something where, mentally he's in a place he can't get out of. He's obviously been there before. This guy has done a lot of things in his baseball career that, frankly, going back to when he was at FGCU and in the draft, I don't think anybody expected of him. When you have that kind of resume, obviously, that top end is going to be tantalizing. It's always going to be there, and it's been there, and you're looking to find it. So he's working at it, but he's a persistent guy, and he showed it to us last week. He just needs to get there more consistently.
Chaim Bloom, thanks for taking the time. We'll talk to you again in a couple weeks.
You bet, folks. Good talking to you.